This is Director Victor Byrd. This meeting of the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission is being conducted by video conference and teleconference. The time is now 10:02 a.m. and 6 of the 7 commissioners are attending remotely by video conference and teleconference. The meeting will be monitored to ensure that each commissioner is audible to each other and the public. If any audio connection is lost or interrupted, the meeting will be stopped until the connection is restored. If the audio connection is not restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be deemed adjourned at the time the connection was lost and shall be reconvened at 1:30 p.m. today. If an audio connection cannot be restored at that time, the meeting shall be reconvened on October 15th, 2020 at 10 a.m. If the audio connection is not restored at this time within 30 minutes, there will be another attempt to convene the meeting at 1:30 p.m. on October the 15th. This pattern will repeat until an audio connection is restored. This meeting shall be electronically recorded. Documents and materials reviewed by or relied upon by the commissioners during this meeting are available at www.oac.ok.gov and may be found in the upper right-hand side of the home page. Notice has been filed and the agenda has been posted in compliance with the Open Meeting Act. The meeting is being conducted in compliance with Senate Bill 661, passed this last legislative session in 2020, which amended the Open Meeting Act to allow meetings by teleconference and video conference. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we are ready to begin.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to the October 14th, 2020 Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. I'd like to announce that we are in compliance with the Open Meeting Act. We have filed the meeting notice and the agenda has been posted. I'd like to record the members present and absent this morning. Andrea, would you call the roll, please?
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. This is Andrea Post. I'm going to call the roll. First Congressional District Commissioner Kevin Potter.
Here.
Second Congressional District Commissioner David Conway.
Here.
Fourth Congressional District Commissioner Lindy Ritz.
Here.
Fifth Congressional District Commissioner Chairman Dave Amos.
Here.
At-large Commissioner Jim Putnam. Commissioner, I see you're on. Let me see if we can unmute.
Let me unmute here.
At-large Commissioner Jerry Hunter.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We are ready.
Very good. Thanks. Thank you, Andrea. I need a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
I so move.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Andrea, call the roll, please.
Yes. Commissioner Potter.
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz.
Aye.
Chairman Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam.
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Item 4 is our director's report. Mr. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, members of the public, this is Director Victor Byrd. The first item in my report is the dedication of the new 4,000-foot runway at Bristow Jones Memorial Airport on June the 26th. This may have been one of the best events of this nature that I have ever been a part of, proud to be a part of. We really appreciate our friends at the Department of Transportation and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority for helping us with publicizing this, coordinating it, organizing it, And of course, the star of the show was the Bristow Jones Memorial Airport. Probably we had just about 200 people there, but and everyone was practicing safe practices, but it was very impressive who was on the podium that day. We had Lieutenant Governor Pinnell was there, Senator Inhofe, Mr. Aviation himself flew in and was there, and was I mean, he's always kind of the de facto MC, if you will, master of ceremonies. Speaker McCall flew in his Piaggio. That was very, very dramatic. We had both appropriations chairs, Chairman Wallace and Chairman of the House and Chairman Thompson of the Senate. Senator Racino, one of our best air evangelists in the legislature, was there. So it was really quite a day. Both local legislators, Representative Hilbert, who is a very good friend of aviation and aerospace, and Senator Lee Wright was there as well. So it was quite an event. Got good, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 television stations there. I mean, in a sense, it was like a brand new airport. Quite an event, and you could tell everybody was ready to celebrate some good news. So it was a fantastic day up in Bristow. Next item, we have a new commander of the Air Logistics Center, General King. Had a nice visit with him in our offices on June the 29th. And of course, committed to him that we will continue to represent and advocate for military aviation, Tinker, and our other bases here in Oklahoma. I'm sure most of you are aware of the Skydweller announcement, Skydweller UAS. We had a ceremony on the steps of the Capitol July the 1st. Skydweller bringing its renewable UAS that can fly very, very long missions to Oklahoma. Corporate headquarters are going to be in Oklahoma City. It's going to do its testing at Ardmore Municipal Airport. So very proud they're going to be in 2 locations actually in Oklahoma. As most things these days, all conventions that were previously and symposiums and so forth that were in person have made the transition to the virtual world. That is indeed what occurred with AA-US Symposium. It was actually in 2 parts, and many of the staff, myself, Grayson, but many of the staff participated in this event. It was very good. A lot of topics covered. You couldn't even get to all of them. And with our upcoming interim study on unmanned aircraft systems, it was helpful to have this symposium prior to that, which will be occurring next week. Most of you know, with respect to item E, the United States Contract Tower Association meeting and webinar July 10th. I'm on the USCTA policy board and have been for about, I guess 5 or 6 years, ever since our 6 towers were threatened back in 2013 due to the sequester. 6 of our 9 civilian towers are contract towers. It's a very critical program for the state of Oklahoma. And the Contract Tower Association meeting is usually a 2-day event. This year it was 1. We switched to virtual. But we've heard numerous reports about potentially new contract towers that are coming on across the country. The overwhelming bipartisan support contract towers receive in the United States Congress. And it's been an excellent group led by Spencer Dickerson of AAAE. I know some of you know Spencer. And next year, Spencer will be transitioning to retirement, and Brad Van Dam will be the new person leading the Contract Tower Association for AAAE. Governor's Leadership Summit, something began to share his outlook, philosophy, strategy with respect to making Oklahoma a top 10 state. It's been in person in past years. This year it was virtual. That was on July the 16th. And then on July the 24th, I was a very proud and honored recipient of the President's Award at the Oklahoma Airport Operators Association annual meeting. Are there any questions, commissioners?
No, sir.
Okay, no questions. Item 5. Continuance.
We were going to prevail this year if it took a multifaceted multimedia campaign on my part. But let's just say that the right person received this award this year. The Distinguished Service Award from the National Association of State Aviation Officials is given to an individual who has excelled in their service and dedication to aviation and development of aviation in their state. Grayson Arties is the embodiment of that. He was selected for this award this year. So very proud of Grayson. I would ask Mr. Chairman if Grayson might have any comments.
That works. Congratulations, Grayson.
I do thank you and thank everybody that's sent me congratulatory remarks over the last several months. I'm honored and humbled to have accepted this award from basically my brethren. You know, there's awards out there, and then there's awards from your association and your colleagues across the country, and this one's pretty special and close to my heart. And it's not just me. This really goes to show the team that we have at OAC, the people we have working for us, because it's not just a one-person show. There's multiple people that this award goes to help out, and goes to show you what great little team we have here at OAC. I couldn't be more proud to receive the award, and thank you for all the accolades, commissioners, members of the public, those that have posted on our Facebook page or sent me emails or phone calls or texts or tweets. I really do sincerely appreciate it. I'm not that one much for limelight and accolades, but I'll take this one and greatly appreciate it. And I'm absolutely honored and humbled. So thank you all. And I look forward to many more exciting years as being a part of NASAO.
Outstanding. Well, again, congratulations. And apropos follow on to item 5 is item 6, 10 years. Time flies.
Yes, we were very fortunate to get a younger Grayson back in about 2009 as an intern, and actually more fortunate and blessed that we've been able to keep him ever since. So he is receiving his 10-year pin today. I don't know if we planned this well enough, Grayson, that we should have you put on the 10-year pin. Do you have it there with you?
I do, right here in the screen. Don't have it on me, but I have it.
Okay, so the 10-year pin, we appreciate your service very much, not only the aviation and aerospace community and airports, but the state of Oklahoma as well.
Well, assuming that we're going to have a real live in-person meeting in December, we can have a pinning ceremony at that point, Grayson.
We could. I did a self pin here, and again, it's been a fun ride. I started as an intern back in 2009. Was hired on about a year later full time, and I really didn't know what the OAC was whenever I was getting on board. But it's been a fun, very exciting career so far, and you know, being in airports and seeing the change and the what we can affect within the state of Oklahoma, but also across the country. It really has been a fun ride, and I expect it to continue to be a fun ride for many years to come. So thank you for the recognition, and yes, Mr. Chairman, you'll be able to pin me at some point in time.
Okay. All right. Item 7 is our new intern director.
This is Director Victor Bird, and pleased to introduce today our new intern for the, I believe, fall semester. It is Elizabeth Phillips. Elizabeth, why don't you introduce yourself and where you are in school and say a few words.
Hi guys, thank you for that introduction, Director Bird. As he said, my name is Elizabeth Phillips. I am a senior aviation management major at the University of Oklahoma. And thank you all for letting me be here today. I'm excited to be a part of the OAC for this semester and be able to give as much as I can.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Glad to have you.
Thank you and welcome aboard. We're going to have fun.
Elizabeth.
Item 8 is the NASAO report and annual dues request.
We had our annual conference in early September. It was virtual. Actually, probably not a surprise. Better attended. I think at one point, I think we were probably up around 400. So it went off very well. Unfortunately, we had it allowed for more sessions. I say unfortunately because we didn't get to see all. We didn't get to attend all the sessions. They're still up right now. We're still attending the sessions. Probably the best subject matter sessions I've ever seen, maybe, or at least in some time in the SAO. Always after our annual meeting comes, we'll be receiving our invoice soon for annual dues. I do not expect it certainly will not exceed $11,500. It most likely will be less than that. I believe our dues last year were like 11,200 and some cents. So I would ask for your approval to pay those dues, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in the event that comes to us before our next meeting.
Okay, I need a motion, please.
I move for approval. Jim Putnam.
Second, Stephen Conway.
Okay, any questions, comments? Andrea, call the roll, please.
All right, Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Item 9 is our financial report. Chris, are you on board with us?
Here. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. This is Chris Wadsworth. I want to start off briefly this morning by giving you an overview of the Commission's FY 2021 budget, since we did not meet in July when that's typically presented to you. The budget summary and all the subsequent financial reports that we'll discuss have been emailed to you yesterday and are available on the website, as Director Bird mentioned. For the FY 2021 budget, we project a revenue of $6.6 million and expenses of $7.3 million. It is important to note that we began the fiscal year with a cash balance of $4.2 million in our accounts. Of the budgeted expenses, $6.1 million or 83% of our budget is for the airport construction program, $338,000 for aviation education, and $899,000 for administrative, operating, IT related expenses. I would note that our $7.3 million budget is a reduction of about $4 million from our FY20 budget. We were able to achieve that by not carrying over as many construction projects from FY20, and also due to the CARES Act funding that will decrease the Commission's obligation on some projects this year. So that is a very brief, high-level overview, but with that, I'll pause briefly if any of you have questions related to the budget before we move on to the financial reports. Okay. Starting with the financial summary document, as of September 30th, the Commission had an ending cash balance of $3.1 million, with encumbrances totaling $5.7 million. Estimated statutory revenues for the remainder of FY21 are $3.7 million, with outstanding reimbursements owed to the agency at $2.3 million, which will leave us with an expected available cash balance after encumbrances and expected income of $3.4 million. The amount of remaining expenditures in the airport construction program that could be incurred this fiscal year total $2.5 million, provided those funds are available and grants are approved. And our total year-to-date expenditures for FY21 were $2.4 million as of the end of September. On the revenue document, you'll see our total statutory revenues collected for July came in at 264,355. August total was 477,930, and September's total was 102,269. Total statutory revenues collected through September this fiscal year total $844,555, which does compare to 1.1 million for the same time frame last year. So we are down about 25% compared to this time last year. And finally, on the 3-year average revenue document, you'll see that our revenue collected from aircraft registration fees, excise tax, fuel tax collections, and the specialty license plates is about 83,000 less than what our 3-year average is for the first quarter of the fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions as we have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Chris. Item 10 is our modernization initiative update. Grayson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe, as some of you may have seen either in the news or some email publications that have come through, OTA, ODOT, and OAC, the Transportation Cabinet area, is going through a big modernization initiative. We've come together kind of proactively under the leadership of Secretary Gatz to try and achieve some efficiencies and some shared services, and really do that with the help or the assistance of a professional consultant called Guidehouse. They have done this for other agencies and states, and even I think some of the federal government and local governments too across the country. They're a world-renowned consulting firm that does this. And then I think, as you all know, we've been sharing services since it was cool to share services. Perfect example is what we're doing today. This commission meeting would not be possible without our ODOT and OTA assistance. As Director Byrd indicated earlier, the Bristow event would not have been possible without the OTA and ODOT assistance that we're able to receive. So really this effort is to dive down a little deeper and figure out what kind of sharing resources and services could occur within the Transportation Cabinet area to make things more efficient and make things more streamlined. And that's really what this initiative is going to be about. It's about a 1-year program, hopefully going to wrap up sometime in the spring of 21. And Chris Wadsworth, our COO, has been the point person. If he didn't already wear a bunch of hats, he definitely had to add a few more hats to his hat ring for the responsibilities that he's doing with the Transportation Modernization Initiative. And I'll turn it over to Chris and let him kind of detail some of the working groups and the committees and some of the other things that he's been doing with TMC to make sure that we can get the most out of it and that we can contribute the most as well to ensure some successful modernization capabilities and initiatives. So Chris, why don't you take out where I left off?
Sure. So a few points from some of the achievements Guidehouse has met so far, and then a little bit of where they're headed in the near future. Guidehouse has completed their project management plan, which outlines the deliverables and the expected timeframe for completion of the initiative. As Grayson mentioned, started in June. It's expected their part of it is expected to be completed in June 2021. They are currently working on what they refer to as their current state analysis. As part of that, they're in the process of interviewing about 150 stakeholders and employees from all 3 agencies, as well as collecting data and other information. I believe they've looked at over 530 documents from the 3 agencies to really understand how all 3 agencies fulfill their missions and kind of how they operate on a daily basis. I know Guidehouse is also currently conducting interviews with other Department of Transportations across the country. A few specifics have been Utah, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, as well as some others, regarding best practices that they have and seeing if there are ways to adopt some of those here in Oklahoma. And then once all that data has been gathered, for this phase and interviews have been concluded within the next month or 2, then we will look to review their change management strategy and see how we can move forward with incorporating some of those and being a more modernized and efficient cabinet. We do meet weekly. There's a HR group that meets every Fridays, and then another change management group that meets every Mondays. We're part of that are trying to move this initiative forward.
Thank you, Chris. Anything else, Grayson?
I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions or comments.
Okay. Questions? All right, thank you. Item 11 is our legislative regulatory congressional update. Mr. Director and Sandra.
Mr. Chairman, this is Director Victor Byrd. Let me ask if I could, because I know that I appreciate very much that Secretary Gatz is with us this morning, attending our virtual commission meeting. I don't know if Secretary Gatz had anything that he would like to say about the previous item, but I'd certainly like to, if he would like to make a comment.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, pleased to be with you this morning. I think Grayson and Chris certainly covered the initiative very well. The important thing is to recognize that, Guidehouse is working also at the cabinet level. So they are looking at not just individual agencies, and quite frankly, the Transportation Cabinet has really stepped out and taken the lead, because we've engaged them at the agency level, where they're currently, for the most part, working at the cabinet level. But again, the modernization initiative is about understanding how the Transportation Cabinet agencies are working together now, understanding what our missions are and how we individually accomplish those missions. And then it'll be a deeper dive, as described, into whether or not there are opportunities for us to operate more efficiently, maybe share some services at levels that we have not done in the past, and leverage resources for the future. And again, I think with the ultimate goal of trying to position the Transportation Cabinet in a manner that, we're looking to the future rather than functioning in a organizational model that has got a little bit of age on it. So again, I think I'm pretty excited about the work that's going on right now. I think it's going to yield some good recommendations and some good results, and certainly work together with the leadership at the Aeronautics Commission to make sure we're keeping you up to date. Be happy to answer any questions that you gentlemen may have.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Vic, anything else?
No, I think that's it. I just wanted to give Secretary Gatz the opportunity, because he has really led this effort, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to make any comment if he chose to.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And let's see, next item is section B here, the legislative agenda.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if we could go, Director Victor Byrd, if we could go to first with item 11A, which is about the State Senate interim studies.
Okay.
As I have visited with you all about, we have two interim studies regarding aviation and aerospace coming up. As a matter of fact, next week, they are here. These were requested through our good friend Senator Racino. They will be before the Senate Business and Commerce Committee, chaired by Senator Lee Wright from Bristow, that I mentioned a moment ago. The first one that will occur on Wednesday morning, starting at 8:45, is regarding unmanned aircraft systems, and focusing upon and looking at, as a state, are we really doing all we could reasonably do to ensure the viability and growth of this sector within the aerospace industry? That's going to be an excellent interim study. We have actually speakers nationally recognized and acclaimed, starting off with our favorite son in this regard, James Grimsley. And then we have the program administrators, managers, if you will, of the UAS programs in states that are seen as models: North Carolina, Virginia, North Dakota. We then again have son Jamie Jacob, who has done incredible things up at Oklahoma State University, some of the programs they have. And then we're closing with, may have gotten these last two out of order, but Greg McNeil, who is a nationally recognized legal scholar in this area, professor at Pepperdine University, and also CEO and founder of AirMap, which I think some of you are familiar with. So that will be all morning on the 21st. And that afternoon, some of you will remember that last year there was legislation about establishing a statewide air service development program. And what these are, you've heard of, these are incentives. These are such as minimum revenue guarantees, et cetera, to increase air service at our commercial service airports, our 4 commercial service airports, Oklahoma City, Will Rogers, Tulsa International, Los Angeles Regional, and Stillwater Regional. That legislation kind of ran into the same thing that our legislative agenda did last year. That would be the COVID wall. So this year, there's a very good chance that legislation will be looked at again, but it makes some sense, since we had a little pause here, to have an interim study and drill down upon this a little further. Once again, I've been very pleased. I've been able to arrange for outstanding, nationally respected individuals that have either consulted and helped states to set up these programs. One of these individuals is Bill Swellbar, who was formerly Delta Airport Consultants, but is also with the TRB and several other national entities. Bill has testified in many legislative interim studies and also before Congress. We also have the two of the states that have somewhat exemplary programs that are looked upon as benchmarks are Wyoming and Indiana. And we have the administrators of each of those programs that are going to make a presentation, provide testimony, if you will, at the interim study that will begin. This interim study will begin at 1 o'clock on October 21st. It will end with hearing from our, obviously, from them and hear what they're thinking of this, our 4 commercial service airports: Tulsa International, Stillwater Regional, and Lawton Fort Sill Regional. Each of them will have the two largest will each have 20 minutes, and then the other 2 have 15 minutes apiece. One of the things I've been very pleased about from Senator Racino and Senator Lee Wright is the fact that they view interim studies like I do, that these are processes for the policymakers to gather information so that they can exercise the best judgment when making policy in critical areas such as these. They are entertaining, and we are receiving the presentations, the summations of these presentations from the individuals I've commented upon, and they will continue to receive remarks even after the interim study because, again, this is an information-seeking process so they can exercise their best judgment. Are there any questions about the interim studies, commissioners?
Vic, you want to go on to item B?
Okay, I will go on to item B. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, I think we all like golden oldies, and this is what this is. Commissioner, Secretary Gatz, no fear here. There's really no new ones. This is, you probably recognize this. This is our 2020 legislative agenda. As Chairman Amos liked to refer to it, the Aero 2020 legislative agenda. It's really our 4 same initiatives from last session. We had all these had passed well, the $10 million appropriation would not have been dealt with till toward the end of the session, the general appropriation process. The other three legislation had passed and was the Senate and was over on the House side. And then came the full impact of, well, perhaps that might, but the impact of the pandemic. And the legislature got very focused upon making a budget for FY 2021 and getting out of town, understandably. So it's the same. One of our most critical issues is repealing the cap on revenue derived from the aircraft excise tax. Already that always comes with challenges because we have more exemptions, 18, than any other state. And it is a good thing that the Incentive Evaluation Commission in its yearly agenda is again looking at those exemptions in its work that's going on right now. Our cap is at $4.5 million right now. So far, and probably unfortunately COVID has helped that a little bit. This has been in place since 2016. We haven't been hurt by this too much, about $1.5 million, but that's $1.5 million paid in by aircraft owners to the state coffers that should be coming to the Aeronautics Commission to then invest back into aviation infrastructure. As I've always explained it to my colleagues that own the airports, the airport sponsors, the cities around the state, we're really just the trustee for that money. That money is paid in by folks that are based at their airports, and it is to come back to them and be invested into aviation infrastructure. There is, the way I have viewed it, somewhat of a de facto trust arrangement. They are the beneficiaries of that money, and it should not be getting expended on other things. And when we face over the next 20 years, we're facing a $800 million shortfall. There's no question state and even local government is going to have to up its ante as far as the investment in our aviation infrastructure. We hope the federal AIP, Airport Improvement Program, has really not moved in 20 years. We're hopeful, but I don't think that's going to make up all that we need to try to make up to make sure we continue to have the safest and most accessible aviation infrastructure in the country. And we have one of the best systems. We've worked on it very hard for 20 years. We've made good use of federal and state money, but we definitely need, this is our number one source of revenue, 90% of our revenues. It all needs to come to aeronautics. So that's number one on our agenda. Number two,
Victor, another way to look at that, hold on just a second, is that 1.5 million could go toward our portion of 3 new terminals around the state.
That's a very good example, Mr. Chairman, and there are other very good examples. That's for Secretary Gatz, although I'm sure he would take that 1.5 million. That's a pretty small, that's some change when you're talking about surface infrastructure. When you're talking about aviation infrastructure, we can actually do some very meaningful things with that at communities around the state. Thank you for pointing that out. The $10 million appropriation, we had asked for that last year after consulting with our sponsors, if you will, for that. They both encouraged us to go forward and ask for it again. I'm not painting a rosy outlook in this regard. It's going to be tough, but I think we have to keep, for what I just said a moment ago, we have to keep asking for this. It makes all the sense in the world. We've already tried to raise our aviation fuel tax. That's a lot of political capital for really not much money. And we have the lowest aviation fuel tax in the country, 8/100ths of 1 penny per gallon. That is how other states all around us, all around the country, that is how they fund their state investment in their aviation infrastructure. In Florida alone, they get like $400 million. That's 4 times what they get from the FAA. Louisiana, they get like $30 million. Colorado gets like $20 million. Arkansas gets like $16 million, and it's almost all from an aviation fuel tax. That's just not, there just hasn't been the will to get that done here. So it really makes more sense if we're going to use political capital, let's simply ask for a general appropriation. It yields us much more if we can get it, and that's probably the wiser way to proceed. The other one, as you all know, I was very involved in last session. There's been quite a lot of this, accounts of this problem in the media, that always part of our legislation that we worked on and got passed in 2008 was a program, an engineering program had to be ABET accredited. And the problem has come up about engineers that are trying to qualify for those credits based upon a graduate degree. This is kind of somewhat of a complex issue, but if you get into it, it is understandable. ABET did not even accredit graduate programs until 2008. That's kind of important because that's the very year we passed this legislation. Some of you will remember, or certainly you will, Chairman Amos, it took us 2 sessions to get that legislation passed, which is, there's still no other legislation like this in the country. Other states have tried it. We're the only one that have these credits for both the engineer and the companies that hire them. This has been one of the significant factors in the growth of engineering programs, engineering departments here at both Boeing and Northrop Grumman. Boeing has hired over 2,000 engineers here in Oklahoma, and they always point to this as one of the key reasons they have grown those services so much here in Oklahoma. So we need to get this fixed. I wish it could be fixed without legislation. Frankly, I think it could be, but we're not the interpreter of these credits. That is the tax commission, which I would the job they have. So that, once again, we will try that this session to get that fixed because we need these engineers. We need them, and it's kind of our word that you're going to get these credits, and we need to make good on that. This
Victor,
is somewhat,
real quick, I can tell you that my best friend from high school just moved back to Oklahoma within the last year. He's got a 23, 24-year-old that was at LSU taking engineering, and he was thinking about changing his major when they moved back to Oklahoma City. And based on the engineer's tax credit program that I told him about, he is now enrolled at UCO in engineering, and because he'll get his state income tax back to the tune of probably close to $25,000. He's real happy about that. He'll get a job probably out there in the tinker world, I'm hoping.
And the good news about UCO is that its programs are ABET accredited. That was done several years ago, led by people like Ron Naylor, formerly of Northrop Grumman, and we made a little report on that to the commission several years ago. So that's what it's all about. That's to encourage someone to go into engineering and to go to work for an Oklahoma aerospace concern.
Yeah,
so
Vic, we've talked about ABET, but could you spell out what that acronym actually is? We know what it is, but what is it?
I believe it's the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology.
Okay.
And it's actually part of a larger concern. So I can get that around to the commissioners. We do spell it out in the statute, but I believe that's what it is. It's just part
That's all right. That's good enough.
And then legislation resulting from our UAS interim study. Last year, we didn't know exactly what shape this was going to take either. So let me say this, if I could, please, commissioners. One epiphany somewhat that I've had really during the time of the pandemic. You all will remember we had several bills last session. Our good friend Senator Bergstrom was the author of those bills, and those did pass the Senate and made it over to the House, but same wall that I talked about a moment ago. I'm not certain, and I really think states are somewhat hindering the development of manned aircraft systems if they do a lot of laws that are specifically focused on this technology. That's not what we've done through the decades when there's new technology, not usually, and I don't think that's necessarily a good practice. we look at our laws of general applicability, and in this context, when we're talking about trespass and nuisance and things of that nature, property rights, there are laws on our books, and what we need to do is help our law enforcement, et cetera, to look at those laws and interpret them in a way that they apply to any errant operation of UAS as well, and not try to come up with laws that specifically target, if you will, drones or unmanned aircraft systems. That in itself kind of puts out a negative message. I'm not, I can't 100% say there won't be something that requires some type of law that is focused on UAS, but I think that will be the exception and not the rule, as may have been our approach in the past. So these are our 4 items in our legislative agenda. I would ask for the commission's approval to proceed and advocate for these initiatives.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Director. Do I have any questions or comments about these items? Okay, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Andrew, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And then item 14C is a congressional update.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Aware of the CARES Act that passed several months ago, more toward the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and how helpful that was to airports, $10 billion in supports, also helpful to airlines, the payroll support program, which did expire on September the 30th. And I know some of you have certainly heard about the furloughs and layoffs that are taking place in the airlines. That, as I'm sure most of you know, there is efforts ongoing to come up with another congressional package to assist airlines, other aviation businesses. That will be part of that. Airports, another $10 billion, and states and local governments that have been hit hard by COVID as well. That has run into some problems. There's been some breakout bills. There was more to specifically continue the airline payroll support program that the airlines have worked very hard on that. I have visited with our delegation about that. Obviously, we have the world's largest commercial aircraft repair facility right up the way here in Tulsa. The American Airlines, their only heavy maintenance base left. We're very concerned about what happens to American and other airlines. And they're a critical and integral part of the world's safest and finest national air transportation system. Right now, it's not looking great, like anything's going to happen on this before the election. It can always be a surprise. Things can happen in Washington that, always can be a surprise. So if something does come up, we'll let you know, and we'll be monitoring.
Anything else?
Concludes my report with respect to the legislative and congressional activities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Director. Item 12, we want to give you some additional authority, Mr. Director.
Yes, Commissioners, this is pursuant to your statutory authority to grant to the Director any of your authority in carrying out and fulfilling our duties as outlined in our legislation. As you all know, a number of our aviation programs were unable to do their programs. Some were unable to do their programs. Several were unable to do their programs as they usually do them in person and went to a virtual approach. That took some finagling, and we brought some of those to you. Those kind of happen in real time and can happen fast. We don't know what the future holds. We certainly don't want to get into a situation where several programs have to switch gears and do a virtual type and do their program virtually. But before we can say, well, that's okay, proceed, have to try to call you into some kind of special meeting, or I don't even think an emergency meeting under the Open Meeting Act wouldn't be possible here. So this is asking you to delegate that authority to me to approve that change order or revision to a program, if you will. And I would stand for any questions, and I believe we have our Aviation Education Program Coordinator on as well, Ms. Keaty. And she can, what I can answer, I know she can. That's why she's here. So I'd stand for any questions, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, but do need action on this.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? No questions, so I need
I have a question for Director Byrd. So the authority would be still within the limit that we had approved. It would be more the way they're delivering it.
Yes, Commissioner, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Putnam. Vic, how often do we have to, how often do we encounter this kind of problem?
Well, Commissioner Putnam, I'm not sure I'm sure we probably have over the years, over the 18 years of our aviation education program becoming a model for the country. I'm sure we have. It's been the exception, certainly not the rule. But this last round, because of COVID, I may have that information, or Michelle Poseidon may have that information, but we had several because of COVID. They had to change the delivery of their program. I believe one or two were unable to do their program.
All right.
We could certainly get some elaboration from them if you would like that, Commissioner.
No, I think I understand.
Okay.
Great. So motion. We have a second. Call the roll.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who made the motion or a second.
I actually did not either. So
I'll make the motion to approve this with David Conway.
Second.
sounds like Commissioner Putnam, you made the motion and Commissioner Conway seconded.
The other way around.
Or the other way around. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so noted. Andrea, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you all. Item 13 is basically the same kind of approval request. Victor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Director Byrd, and this comes about because of some recently adopted permanent rule changes to our airport construction program. And I'm asking you to consider delegating this authority to the director to approve change orders and supplemental agreements for projects that the commission has previously approved. The delegation of authority will cover change orders and or supplemental agreements that do not increase the overall cost of the project. Very important point there. That's why I emphasized it. But they will change the scope of the project to address things that come up, unforeseen circumstances occurring during the construction of a project or liquidated damages. The delegation of authority in this instance will also cover change orders and or supplemental agreements that will increase the commission's overall share of the project, not to exceed, however, $10,000. In the event of either of the above actions occurring, the director will present those items as information only during the next scheduled commission meeting. The change orders, supplemental agreements that will increase the commission's overall share, as I noted, in excess of $10,000, those will need to be approved by the actual commission. The changes to the delegation of authority are in accordance with the new administrative rules and follow a similar format to how the Department of Transportation handles change orders. This will, of course, provide for more efficiency on these projects. I'd stand for any questions, and I know that my able Lieutenant Grayson Ardes would help me there too if I get stumped.
Questions? Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Conway, second.
Okay, Andrew, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thanks, Andrea. So item 14 is a request for some funds to let the commission participate in the NBAA virtual exhibition. I haven't heard about this, that they'd, I knew that they'd canceled it, but I didn't know they were coming forward with a virtual deal. Vic, you might explain a little bit of that to us.
This is Director Byrd, Mr. Chairman. They have, it was not immediate after they canceled the scheduled in-person annual convention and trade show, but they did decide thereafter to, as I noted earlier in our meeting, it's become a way of the world, virtual meetings, conventions of this nature. So NBAA did decide, the National Business Aviation Association did decide that they should do this. So it will be in December. And this, important note here. Will this actually occur? I don't know, commissioners, but if I don't put it on the agenda, and if you don't meet again until after the dates of the event, there's no way we can participate. I need your approval. But this may be one that we do not participate, we don't participate in. As you know, we do annually have a State of Oklahoma booth. This will be a virtual booth. There seems to be, I think there's an ongoing debate about the value, the quality of those. In the NASAO annual convention, they were pretty good. They worked pretty well. In the AVSI, I think there was definitely, and we had a state booth, there was some question, some concern about the value of that and how well it actually served us. But I would ask your approval for this. And I apologize, but I think someone might be able to help me here. This is obviously at a savings from what we participate at a $5,000 amount. I think this one is somewhere like not to exceed $1,500. Someone help here a little bit. Grayson, Andrea.
Not to exceed $2,000, Director.
Okay, thank you, Grayson.
Any questions? Okay, I need a motion.
I move for approval.
Have a question. What exactly do we get for $2,000 at a virtual exhibit booth?
That's
Excellent question, sir.
Do we get virtual visitors? I mean, how does this benefit us exactly?
Yes, we get virtual visitors. I like that, Commissioner.
Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute, but I would have been earlier.
I'm gonna let what we get is you can go to the booth and you can visit with those at the booth, whether they're from the Aeronautics Commission, the Department of Commerce, various cities, aviation businesses, companies that are usually a part of our booth. That's
throughout the day during the duration of this virtual trade show?
That is not the way it was. Grayson, if you've got any more details here, but that's not the way it was.
Sure.
But it may, I don't know exactly what the time frame is here for the virtual NBAA conference.
Just Commissioner Hunter, just as an example, we just wrapped up our AUVSI virtual booth show a couple of weeks ago. We actually had a pavilion. The state of Oklahoma had a pavilion, and we had about 5 or 6 partners in that, like we normally do, but it was a virtual option. What allows us to do is put your flag in the ground, say, here is the state of Oklahoma. We're still interested in trying to recruit, so it allows us to go visit the other booths. We can host conversations, and I know at AUVSI with our partnership level, we got to host several roundtable discussions where we could invite others to come in and hear a presentation that we'd give. Obviously for UAS, it was on the discussion about the different test sites and the different options and the research programs that we have available in Oklahoma. I would expect NBAA to be something similar to that, where we can go have those, as you said, virtual visitors. But there is, as Vic indicated, there is discussion with Commerce as to the validity of some of these virtual booths. We're going to participate at MRO Americas likely at the end of this month. Obviously, our preference is to be there in person, no doubt about it. But obviously, given the circumstances that the world's in, we can't.
So again, is this a virtual chat room type arrangement? A situation where you have X number of visitors, where you can quantify and measure how many people you're connecting with or how many people are seeing your message?
Correct. You can reach out. You can do active, so you can reach out to other booths in the exhibit hall, or it could be passive, where people will come to your booth and connect with you in your booth. It's either option.
So for $2,000, how many new contacts or connections are we actually seeing out of? For example, what was the cost of the last one you did, and what was actually gained by it?
The last time we did it in person was $5,000. That's our partnership level.
Right. Right. But when
This
you've done one of the
year,
virtual ones, when you've done a virtual, what has been our yield versus cost?
Yeah,
I don't know that we have those statistics, but
probably
what would be our ROI on $2,000?
Well, and of course that's a legitimate question on the $5,000 too, but an excellent question, Commissioner Hunter, and I would just answer that candidly. Given these are new creatures, we do not know. There was an AUVSI virtual booth for the state of Oklahoma. We're contemplating one MRO, which we usually participate in as well, with the Department of Commerce and a state booth. Again, virtual proposition. That's why we are analyzing these. We don't data yet, any kind of data, and with respect to your question, we don't have yet. They're to AUVSI, actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Grace and Andrea, I think that just happened last week.
Correct.
How did that go? I mean, you had a presence there. How many people did you connect with? Do you have a number, or did it work? Did it not work? I mean,
there were, I'd say there were several highs and low points. I would say the highs were some of the activities that we got, like the roundtables and the attention that the roundtables brought us. I know Commerce was able to make several good connections with some UAS companies that they had never met with before. I had several good conversations and made several contacts with individuals that reached out to me as part of the OAC booth. But in terms of an actual lead, I have not talked with the Department of Commerce again. It just happened last week in terms of here's what we are doing to set up future economic development meetings. But I would say there are positives and negatives, and just like any of the virtual experiences, I think NASEO had its positives and negatives. Everybody uses a different kind of platform in the virtual experience, and this is kind of happening in real time, as Director Byrd indicated. We're all we're all trying to grab our hands and put our hands around, okay, is this a worthwhile investment?
I firmly believe that if we go into this, we should go into it with a way of measuring and quantifying the success of it, so that we can use that at the next one of these virtual exhibits or virtual trade shows that we attend. If you go into it without any method of quantifying or measuring, then you're really not accomplishing anything. I mean, kind of like the one you had last week. If you can't tell me that you made 20 or 200 or 2,000 contacts, you know, what was it? If you can't tell me how it went, you really don't have a quantifiable result. So if we do this, I would say we should go into it with a plan to measure whether it's worthwhile or not for future reference.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And I actually think
that'd be
both
we should not go into it without a plan. If we're going to spend
us in the Department of Commerce will insist on that. Something contacts, something follow-ups, actual leads. We have to, because this is a new world.
Yep. It's uncharted territory, and unless you can show me a result, I believe what I see.
Understand. And we haven't had that chance to have the longer conversation of commerce yet about, are we going to actually do this? To discuss some of the very same things you're bringing up, Commissioner Hunter.
Can we expect a report in our December meeting? We have enough time to put something like that together in that week or two?
Well, I think we could certainly come up with number of contacts and ought to really be able to come up with, well, what leads are we following up on?
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
And please keep, if I would, Mr. Chairman, please keep in mind, commissioners, I mean, the real reason this is on the agenda this time is if I don't put it before you this time, we will not have an opportunity.
Right.
Right, because I will not have your approval.
And again, I have no problem with approving this $2,000 expenditure, but only if I get a result back so that I know the next time, so I'm not squandering $2,000 or $5,000 again if this doesn't pan out. This is approved, additional on gathering information.
I understand and completely agree.
Any other questions, comments?
I would say carry on, Commissioner.
Okay, I need a motion, please.
So moved. Commissioner Potter.
I'll second.
Andrew, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
Commissioner Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz.
Aye.
Chairman Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam.
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
Item
you,
16.
commissioners. I'm going to be quiet for a while.
Is that going to be kind of tough, Vic?
I'll try.
Okay. Item 15 is our construction grant program. Grayson, is there a way that we can approve these, go through them all, and then approve them all at once?
Mr. Chairman, we did not do a consent docket this go around, given the fact that we only had 4 items. But that could be, if we have more items next time around, we could definitely investigate a consent docket.
Okay. Proceed.
Item A before you, Mr. Chairman, this is Grayson Arties, is at the change order for the El Reno Regional Airport. Again, this would be an example of the recently delegated authority that you'd be given to the director. We wouldn't have to bring such a change order before you today, but the change order is for the rehab of the apron area around the existing fuel system at the El Reno Regional Airport. There needs to be some additional marking of the pavement that's going to occur. That change order will need to exceed the previously approved item or previously approved amount by about $2,500, and that'll be split 95/5 between us and the airport sponsor. So additional almost $2,400 of state grant funds to be expended. Staff recommends approval. If we can move to the next slide, we can see the project picture and description. And I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, no questions. I need a motion.
I move for approval.
I'll second Commissioner Conway.
Thank you. Andrea, call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Item B, Grayson.
Item B is our preliminary engineering report program. This is for the PERs that we're planning to do for federal fiscal year 2020. You can see there on your screen, you have 4 projects before you that we will be doing PERs for. 8 are regional airports, rehab runway, improved safety area. Alva Regional Airports, rehab the parallel taxiway system. Clinton Regionals, the rehab of the runway. And then the R.L. Jones Jr. Airport in Tulsa, reconstruct the connector taxiway system for the primary runway. As we've discussed in the past, these PERs are to help us get a grasp on the scope and the estimated cost of the project so that we can better refine the discretionary funding amount that we need from FAA to realize those projects, and to do this several years in advance of those construction projects occurring, so we don't have anything pop up and surprise us when it gets down to design time. We've in years past experienced problems where an engineer would design something and is preparing bid packages in January or February, getting ready for a construction grant that actual year, and it turns out that a $2 million project ended up being a $3.5 million project. FAA can't turn on a dime and get us that extra amount of money. So we need to know about those hiccups or those surprises early on. And these PERs allow us to go out and do survey work, geotechnical work, and allow an engineer to really analyze and study that particular project well in advance of the construction year and the grant year within FAA's cycle. Because of the CARES Act, these projects are being funded 100% by the FAA. A little shy of $310,000. You can see the breakout for each one of the project costs there on the screen. Staff recommends approval for moving into the contracting phase so that we can execute contracts with the consulting firms for these 4 airports and get the preliminary engineering reports done. You can go to the next slide, and I believe it'll be the same information, and staff recommends approval. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions? Okay. I need a motion and a second, please.
Yes, I move.
Commissioner Ritz, second.
Thank you. And Andrea, call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Item C, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Grayson Arties presenting item C. Before you today is a grant for a project that's approved and currently in the Commission's approved airport construction program at the Robert S. Kerr Airport in Poto, Oklahoma. Project consists of installing an omnidirectional approach light system for runway 18. As we've discussed in the past, omnidirectional approach lights are a nice added navigational aid for pilots to use during times of inclement weather or in the nighttime for accessing and acquiring the end of the runway on short final. Total project cost before you today is $178,000, a little over that. This will be split 95-5 between the commission and the local airport. Commission share is $169,210, and the sponsor share is just a little over $8,900. I believe today with us we have Annette Christianberry and Tammy Sprayberry from the city to say a few remarks.
Yes, I'm Annette Christianberry, and I'm co-managers with my husband, Rossi Christianberry, at Robert S. Kerr, and this is the city clerk, Tammy Sprayberry, and Mayor White couldn't be with us today, and my husband, Rossi, is actually flying, so we're sitting in.
And we're very thankful for this opportunity, very, and would appreciate.
Thank you all.
Yeah, we feel like we're privileged to get this project on what we've been told in prior time, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Just for reference, commissioners, this is an airport that is scheduled to go to 5,000 feet. It's one of the few regional business airports that we have that is not 5,000 foot, but it is scheduled to go there here in the next 3 or 4 years. That project's in the ACP, and so this will just obviously prepare and help them for that. I will stand for any questions, but staff does recommend approval.
Okay, any questions? I don't suppose we have a terminal over there, do we, Grayson? One of our shared expense deals?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. We don't have one of our terminals. They do have a nice terminal there. It's fairly nice, but I'm sure after the runway extension, that will be something that's going to be on their list.
Yeah, okay.
That would be great.
I need a motion, please.
Commissioner Conway, I move to approve.
Commissioner Putnam, second.
Andrea, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. Item D, Grayson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Grace Nardi is presenting item D. Before you today is another state grant project. It's in the approved airport construction program for the Seminole Municipal Airport. Project consists of installing LED runway lights and runway end identifier lights on both runway ends. Total project cost is just shy of $428,000. Will be split 95-5 between the OAC and the sponsor, as is standard for a state grant. If we could go to the next slide, we can take a look at the airport. And you'll see there, it's a 1634. We'll have 2 runway end identifier lights at each end, and then obviously the standard runway edge light configuration as well. Staff recommends approval, and I believe we have Steve Saxon from the city on the meeting today. Steve, if you want to say some words.
Thank you all. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Steve Saxon. I'm the city manager here in Seminole, and we can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate your continued investment into our economy. We are certain that our airport is our front door. Our businesses that use that airport frequently are clamoring for some of these upgrades. And I just want to recognize your staff. They've been fantastic to work with. And we just, again, want to encourage you to approve this. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir. Steve.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I'll need a motion.
Commissioner Ritz, so moved.
Second, Commissioner Potter.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, please call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you all. Okay, item 16, Grayson, would you go ahead?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. This is Grayson Hardy presenting item number 16. This is that time of year for changes to the rules where we have to get things started. Today, you're considering authorizing the staff to start proceeding with the permanent rulemaking process regarding our proposed changes to the Commission's operations rules. I believe, as most of you all have seen, Governor Stitt had issued an executive order about agencies needing to clean up their administrative rules. And in doing so, we obviously looked at our rules to see if there's any unnecessary or burdensome regulations that we have in our administrative rules sections. There are a few things that are outdated and unnecessary, and we're going to look at changing some of those in the commission operations section. Just as an example, one of those is that in that area, it actually calls for the responsibilities of the chair, vice chair, secretary to be on the fiscal year. As you all know, we've moved that to the calendar year. We need to marry that up. There's some information in there about holding hearings and appellate proceedings. We obviously, as a commission, don't do that anymore. That was based on some old statutory language from going back to probably in the 40s, quite frankly, that's just kind of been carried forward. And there'll be a few other things that we'll recommend before we head off into the sunset and you guys give the final approval. Though we have to go through the administrative rules and the procedures to be able to change those. So today you're just authorizing us to move forward with that process. We'll have a public comment period. People can provide written comments, oral comments, and we'll likely be back to you sometime after the turn of the new year for your approval of that final language. And of course, we will send you the draft whenever we have those draft changes as well. But I will stand for any questions, and staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, I'll need a motion, please.
So moved, Commissioner Potter.
Second, Commissioner Conway.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, please call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, we've got item 17 now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Grayson Hardy presenting item number 17, our flight inspection agreement with the FAA. As you all will remember, we have an agreement, an ongoing agreement with the FAA Flight Inspection Group to provide inspections of non-federal lighting systems that are installed either by us or by an airport's FAA AIP funds. Those could be ODLs, omnidirectional approach lights. Those could be VGSI, visual glide slope indicators. They could be runway and identifier lights or any of the other nav aid systems that are out there. Our existing agreement had expired. The 5-year agreement had expired. This is simply to enter into a new agreement, and we will roll over the balance of our expiring funds from the old agreement, which, as you can see on the screen in the agenda item before you, is $43,606. Staff recommends approval to enter into this new agreement with the FAA.
Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve, Jerry Hunter.
Second, Commissioner Putnam.
Thank you. Andrea, call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item. Sandra?
Good morning, Commissioners. There are several events still happening around the area, and this weekend, the Shawnee Regional Airport is hosting their regional fly-in at 11 a.m. and dinner is being served at 5:30 p.m. And Bonnie Wilson from the Shawnee Airport wants everyone to come out and join Bucko Aviation for their event. Also this weekend, the Enid Woodring Airport will host the Enid Barnstormers Breakfast Fly-In from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Director Byrd mentioned the 2 interim studies. Want to remind you of that. On October 21st, one is a UAS interim study at 8:45 a.m. And then that afternoon, they'll be conducting the Air Service Development interim study. And those can be reached on oksenate.gov. And I'll also be sending out a link, Commissioners, to you so you can track that. The OPA dinner meeting is November 5th. And OPA, the Oklahoma Pilots Association, has been having their meetings and fly-ins all throughout the summer successfully. And so we're happy that everyone has been safe and still flying. And on November 5th, Adam Fox with El Reno Airport will be the keynote speaker there at the Page Building at Wiley Post Airport. So they encourage people to come and safely attend that meeting. And also, we want to remind everyone that Oklahoma Women in Aviation and Aerospace Day will be having their 4th annual event, December 9th. And the agency is working with the Tulsa International Airport Authority to commemorate the day, and more information will be coming about this. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And thank you so much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Sandra. Any questions? All right, item 19 is our executive session. So I guess we've got some buttons to push to get us into that little chat room or whatever.
We need.
So I need a vote. So I'll need a motion and a second to vote.
Commissioner Ritz, move approval.
Commissioner Putnam, seconds.
Okay, thank you. And Andrea, call the roll.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway, Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion to convene into executive session is approved.
Thank you,
This
Andrea.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Deanna Makowitz with ODOT. I am opening the executive session. Chairman Amos, Commissioner Conway, Commissioner Hunter, Commissioner Putnam, Commissioner Potter, and Commissioner Ritz. I am opening your executive session now.
Is everybody there?
Well, I made it back.
We're back. Yes, sir.
Jim Putnam's back.
Okay, if I could, Mr. Chairman, please, you will need a vote now to return to open session. A motion, a second, and a vote.
I so move to open session. Jim Putnam.
Commissioner Ritz.
Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Andrew, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Potter,
Aye.
Commissioner Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz,
Aye.
Chairman Amos,
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. We have returned
Thank you.
to open.
Well, we've gone into executive session, and our esteemed director for 18 or 19 years has decided to move on to the yonder blue skies away from the commission, and has announced his resignation and retirement from state government. And Vic, personally, I'm going to miss you. We've been together for close to 20 years, and friendship goes back to 1985, and that was fun, going back to the days of Turpin running for governor and watching him take a plate of ribs and it looked pretty disgusting, I might add, but we go back to those days.
You'll appreciate
fun. So anyway, Vic, I'm going to miss you. And commissioners, if you all have any comments.
We need to be invited to the retirement party when we're not wearing gas masks.
I could not agree more.
Right, we're looking forward to it. Director,
Right.
As the newest commissioner, I've appreciated working with you. I applaud your commitment to the state and to Aeronautics Commission, to aviation in general. And I wish you the very best for your next chapter.
Director Byrd,
go ahead.
Director Byrd, this is David Conway. You know, it's been quite a while since we've known each other, and I first met you about 2005 when you came to the airport in Durant. And I was kind of skeptical of a lawyer being the director of an aviation program, especially since you didn't fly. But over the time that I've known you, you have amazed me with your level of knowledge of aviation. You will sorely be missed by myself. Good luck and blue skies for you.
Yeah, this is Jim Putnam, Vic. I wanted to share with you that one of the things I admired in the military was something called devotion to duty. And I saw that you were devoted to aviation and the commission and this mission selflessly, which I really value and appreciate. Thank you for all your service.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Director Byrd, I wish you the very, very best. We haven't always seen eye to eye. We have agreed to disagree on occasion. But I've always admired your dedication to the job, and you have worked in the best interest of aviation in the state of Oklahoma. Your successor has some pretty big shoes to fill. And I wish you the very, very best, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunter. Yes, that's true. But one thing I appreciate about you, I knew exactly where you stood, and I think you knew where I stood. So thank you for that candor. That's always appreciated.
I never made any apologies for it.
Vic, I just want to thank you. This is Kevin Potter, and I just want to thank you for getting to know you and be a friend, and heard a lot of good things out of you from Kenneth Adams and Earl both, and most of them are right.
Well, it's very hard decision, commissioners. I think one of the hardest decisions in my life, for certain. I think as Chairman Amos referred to there, I've been around politics, state government a long time. I love them both. But more than those, I love public service. Probably most of you see I'm kind of a frustrated politician, or a wannabe, maybe is a better name. It has indeed been the honor of my life to work alongside dedicated public servants like your staff to serve our many wonderful constituents in the aviation and aerospace community. Representing airports, aviation companies from the smallest, like CTS and Bristow and ASIC and Enid and Capital Aviation right out here at Wiley Post and Cyril here in Oklahoma City, to the largest, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Nordam, our homegrown company we're so proud of, Spirit Aerosystems. It has indeed been an honor to represent all the people in this community, and the pilots and the workers too. I marvel at what A&P mechanics can do. I really, really do, because I was not exactly cut that way. So it is such a remarkable industry, and fighting for that community has indeed been a privilege and an honor. I will miss it. I will miss you all. I appreciate very much from how grateful I am at the opportunity to be the State Director of Aeronautics for the Oklahoma Aeronautics. I have always been very, very proud of my office, and that is the way I have looked at it. So thank you for allowing me to do it in that way. And I'll be around. I'm not, believe me, not going back into the practice of law. I just like to be at jobs now. I finally learned, Commissioner Hunter, I just like to be at jobs that I can do some lawyering, but I don't have to bill hours all the time.
I just want to know what kind of a lawyer worth his salt is willing to work for what this commission pays.
Well, I think you make up for that with the opportunity to do good things, make a difference in public service.
It must be fulfilling.
It is, very much so. And thank you and the other commissioners for that opportunity.
I believe Secretary Gatz wants to make a couple of comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Vic, Director Byrd, I would offer our sincere appreciation on behalf of Governor Stitt and the citizens of Oklahoma for everything that you've done for aeronautics and aerospace across the course of your career. You know, I have had the opportunity to watch Director Byrd in action, and we talked a little bit about modernization. And I'd tell you that Vic has been an agent of modernization with vision to the future always. I've watched him bring the Aeronautics Commission and their mission from something that was maybe a little bit rudderless sometimes to something with a laser focus on improving all things aviation in the state of Oklahoma. Vic, we so much appreciate your leadership and everything that you've done for our state. So thank you so much. Best wishes for your future. Retirement will hold many, many great things, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. You will see me down the flight path. Remember what we can do with just a mile of runway, and it costs less too. I know you like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity.
And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for the kind words. One more comment. Vic, when I got here in 1996, Dana Beatty was our director then, and he was followed by Bill Miller. So I've been through three directors, and you by far have taken what was a interesting situation with the commission back in the 90s and really put some meat and some horsepower into the commission, and your staff ready, willing, and able. I'm just most impressed, and I really enjoyed being a commissioner and chairman with you as the director. We've really accomplished some wonderful things that I don't think we could have done under previous directors. So accolades, congratulations, and I'm sure we'll circle around post November 1 and enjoy a libation and talk about the good old days. Thank you so much, Vic.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add a couple of comments for Vic. I'll be very remiss not to speak of my transportation brother leaving. Vic, I can't tell you how much I've appreciated your mentorship, how much I've learned from you on meaning of life, on aeronautics, on legal issues, and you will be very much missed. Even when we had turbulence in the transportation family, Vic and I always worked really well together, and I can't thank you enough for your leadership and your knowledge in aviation just amazes me. So thank you, and I hope to be able to stay in touch with you.
Thank you, Terry.
Great. Thank you. And I think we should move on to the subject matter that we discussed in our executive session. So I will need a motion from a commissioner.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Putnam. Seeing how Vic's retiring 1 November, we need a new director. I move that we appoint Grayson Artis as the new director at a salary of $104,000 a year.
I would second that and move that we make it permanent, not temporary.
That was my intent.
Great. We have a very nice motion on the floor here. And do I have any comments or questions? No comments, questions. Andrea, call the roll, please.
We need a second, I believe. Or was that Jerry's?
I think Commissioner Hunter was the second.
Okay, great.
All right, I'll proceed with a roll. Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
Commissioner Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritz.
Aye.
Chairman Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Putnam.
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Congratulations, Grayson.
You're muted, Grayson.
Okay, come on now, Grayson. Don't disappoint me. Get that mute
program, kiddo.
Than I do.
Sorry, I was double muted. I was just, well, or I was speechless. One of the two. Who knows? No. So first, I want to say some congratulations to Vic. I met Vic. I think it was sophomore year of college. This guy showed up to one of our aviation classes at the University of Oklahoma, who was the director of Aeronautics, and really kind of told us what aviation was in Oklahoma. And I really didn't know who the guy was, but he seemed to have a good message, seemed to be put together well, and he seemed to be well respected by the leadership at OU. And then let alone, who would have known, I would have applied for an internship with him a couple of years later. And here we are a decade later from that. So it's been a pleasure to work under Vic. He's been my mentor, taught me pretty much everything I need to know or have known about state government and aviation and aerospace. I was a pilot coming in, but man, did I not really know anything about aviation until I had heard what Vic knew and tried to have him impart some of his wisdom and knowledge onto me. And I can, and you're right, Commissioner Hunter, I do have some big shoes to fill, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I can fill them. The one thing that really pleases me so much with this opportunity is really the opportunity to matter. Not saying that other jobs, whether it's, big company, FAA, American Airlines, Tinker Air Force Base, not saying that those folks don't matter, but here at the commission, given how small we are and all the different subject areas that we're involved in, we really have an opportunity to matter as an agency and as a staff. And that's really, I think, where this job shines, is the ability to matter and affect change for aviation aerospace on not just a state level, but on a national level too. So I will promise you to do my best and lead us into the future and leave the log pile a little higher than I found it, because Vic left it pretty darn high. And we're going to have a fun time, but a challenging time, finding ways to improve and do better. But most important, I'm going to miss my friend. Miss my friend Vic Bird, that's for sure. So thank you all, and look forward to the future.
One thing, if I could add there, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence, Grayson, I know I've told you that it's a lifetime appointment that you will assist me on technical issues with iPhone and laptop. You do know that. Turpin made me the lifetime coffee administrator. You will be a much more important job.
I will be there to help with IT as best I can, so long as you're on the Apple product line, Vic. We've had that discussion before. But seriously, thank you, commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Vic, all those that have supported me over the years. I couldn't be more happy. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Grayson. Welcome aboard. Item 20, concluding remarks from anyone? Does anybody have any comments, questions?
I would have none, Mr. Chairman, just only to thank you again. Thank you and the commissioners that have served the state through the years, and the 4 governors that I've served under. Thank you for this really once in a lifetime opportunity, honor, and privilege.
Thank you for your service, Vic.
Item 21, what's the date on our next meeting? December?
The date on our next meeting is December 2nd, Mr. Chairman, right now. That is the current regularly scheduled meeting date. If that is the date we would like to keep, that is certainly the pleasure of the commission. I would be remiss in identifying that Governor Stitt's right-hand man, COO John Budd, did send us an email that if there's any desire to hold your fall lineup of meetings virtually, that they would recommend doing so before the ability to do that ends on November 15th. That's where the effective date of Senate Bill 661 and what we're able to do today ends, and we go back to the standard Open Meeting Act practices. There were some allowances for video and teleconference in the old Open Meeting Act, but it was pretty difficult, pretty high bar to achieve. You'd have to open up your homes so public could come to where you are actually physically located to attend the virtual meeting. That's probably not something that you all want to entertain, but I'm open to discussion. And if we'd rather just keep it December 2nd and do it in person at ODOT, we can do that. Or if there's a better date in December that you all would prefer, we can discuss that too. But December 2nd is currently at 10 a.m. at ODOT is the current item for schedule for the next commission meeting.
Sounds good.
I'm good with it.
Okay. If I may, I don't know if this would fall under item 20 or 21, might take it out of order, but I'd be remiss because my phone is blowing up right now on Vic's retirement. And, well, when do we get to have fun? When can I say some words? I'd really like to talk to Vic. We are going to have a virtual retirement ceremony on October 29th at 10 a.m. An invite to go out here shortly. That will be via Zoom, where we'll have several speakers identified throughout there. We'll also be sending out an email requesting recorded videos or pictures of Vic. If you have him in his Elvis costume, please send that in. But October 29th at 10 a.m. is the date. We will, at some point, when it gets back to being okay to have in-person meetings and in-person large gatherings, we will want to recognize Vic in person. I do feel bad that he's having to retire and not get the big in-person retirement ceremony that he deserves. Perhaps we could look at doing that next spring with our Aero Oklahoma Day at the Capitol. We could make it a 2-for-1 deal where we recognize Vic Bird and he could have his retirement ceremony, and we could celebrate Aviation Aerospace Day at the Capitol, or we could just have a separate retirement party sometime in the spring if everybody's feeling like getting back to doing that. But that's the thought. That's where we're at right now. Scheduled for the virtual party on the 29th. Hope you all can attend, those either in the public as well as commissioners on the call, and try and recollect and remember, about Vic's career, not just at Aeronautics, but also across all of his places within state government in Oklahoma. But I'll stand for any questions or further comments.
The only question I have is that Elvis costume Presley or Costello?
There's only one Elvis, Commissioner.
I know of two.
It's the one from Memphis.
Okay.
All right, item 22, new business. I guess what Grayson just said is probably new business. Anybody have anything? Okay, do we need an action for adjournment, or can I just bang the gavel?
You can bang the gavel.
Bang the gavel. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up today. And we are now adjourned. Thank you.